Hi, my name's Jeff Raffoff. I'm one of the pastors at West Lawn United Methodist Church in Reading, Pennsylvania. I, along with my colleague, the Reverend Chris Hardy, have been sharing for several months now in these daily devotionals, each Monday through Saturday. And most recently, we've been sharing that famous collection of teachings by Jesus found in Matthew's Gospel, chapters 5, 6, and 7, referred to as the Sermon on the Mount. We started with the Beatitudes and moved then from there, from all those happy are or blessed are sayings. We moved into the salt and light sayings and then got into some of the tough teachings that Jesus offers. Teachings that make us really think about who we are and what we do and how we behave. And so we continue that today with Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 42. I'm going to be reading from the New Revised Standard Version today. Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your coat, give your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go also the 2nd mile. Give to everyone who begs from you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you." These are not the typical sayings that we think of when we consider the possibility of living the life the way we want, to be in control and in charge. We like to think that we're calling the shots, and we do like to be in control. So what do we make of all this? Well, the law that Jesus is actually quoting from originates, to the best of my knowledge, originates 2,200 years, 2,200, actually more than 2,200 years before the birth of Christ. So way back in what is historians refer to as the Code of Hammurabi, we hear this language, this law, often referred to as the law of tit for tat. It's one thing for another. But there are a couple of points that I would want to make to you quickly. First is this law is not intended to give license for a free-for-all, but rather it's intended to limit vengeance. In early days, in somewhat less civilized tribes and situations, if someone offended or hurt somebody from another tribe, that whole other tribe may come back to seek vengeance. So the Code of Hammurabi and this law of tit for tat really is meant to limit the vengeance that might be taken. It's also not intended for the use of private individuals, that for me to say, you hurt me, now I'm going to hurt you. We do that all the time, but mostly children on playgrounds. Mature people don't do that. Sometimes governments do that. I grew up in the Cold War era when the whole idea was you bomb me and we'll bomb you, and we thought this idea of mutual mass destruction would keep us all safe. When in fact, what it led to was traumatic experiences with children like myself when I was in elementary school, learning to go into the basement of the West Wyomissing Elementary School, sitting on the floor in a hallway with no windows, putting my head between my knees and praying that the Russians wouldn't drop a bomb on us. That's not really fullness of life. This was not meant for individuals, but this was meant for a judge to rule in disputes between individuals. And chances are, it was never really carried out literally, at least not in civilized societies. People just don't go around poking other people's eyes out. Whether it's in Jesus' day or 2,000 years before his day, or today, it's not what we do. But this Code of Hammurabi is found throughout the Old Testament. It's found in Exodus chapter 21, Deuteronomy chapter 19, and Leviticus chapter 24. So you can read it for yourself. But it's also not the only ethic that we read about in the Old Testament. You can read words of grace throughout the Old Testament as well, including in the Proverbs, where it talks about when you see someone who's hungry, or a neighbor is hungry, or an enemy is hungry, feed them. And there's specific rules about how to deal with your enemies and not to humiliate them or to disgrace them. But anyway, all I wanted to make the point of is that this is not the only code in the Old Testament. But more important to today's reading is that Jesus comes not to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. But he does abolish the old law of limited vengeance. And he introduces to you and me, he introduces to all who listen, to all who believe, a spirit of non-resentment and of non-retaliation. That's not usually the way we think. It's certainly not the way children think. And it's not the way believers think. Jesus uses 3 examples. If someone hits you on the cheek, let him hit the other as well. If someone takes your tunic or your shirt, give him your coat as well. If someone makes you go a mile, go the second mile as well. I believe what Jesus is really trying to say is there are 2 ways to respond to every situation. We can do the absolute minimum, do only what is absolutely required, what we have to do because we can't get away with anything less. We can do that, or we can respond with abundance. We can respond over the top. We can respond in ways that surprise people, that they will remember what we have done and that we have done it with excellence. I would just close with this. I am so thankful for the teachings of Jesus. I am so thankful that Jesus doesn't look at my sin or yours and respond with a bare minimum of grace. But I am thankful. I am eternally grateful that Jesus looks at me, a sinner in need of grace, and he responds with abundant, amazing grace, poured out for me, for you, and for all who believe. So while Jesus is turning the world upside down with his teachings, causing us to think of things in ways that we ordinarily wouldn't, dear friends, I hope you find some peace and encouragement in these teachings of Jesus as he explains to us another way, a counterintuitive way, a countercultural way. Friends, may the way of Jesus be your way, today and always. And may the peace of God be with you until we meet again.